Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter.
It's not even that. In The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sunny, and was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could.
Buckle up. Things are about to get explosive. Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus are stepping into the spotlight, and this time, they're zeroing in on Sunny Hostin's most baffling contradictions. Hypocrisy? Check. Double standards? You bet. And they're not just hinting at it, they're tearing off the mask and laying it all out. With razor-sharp wit and no filter, these two are ready to expose the kind of logic that makes your head spin. Ever wondered what happens when someone finally says the quiet part out loud? Let's just say, it's not going to be sunny skies for Sunny. Intrigued yet? You should be.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's how she...
All right, time to dive headfirst into the drama, because Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus are back, and they're bringing the heat. Today's lesson? A masterclass in hypocrisy, starring none other than Sunny Hostin. And trust us, you do not want to skip this session. You know the type. Hosts on The View, where opinions fly faster than facts, and smugness is practically part of the wardrobe. It's the daily Olympics of outrage, where the gold medal goes to whoever cancels the loudest. But today, the tables have turned. Sunny's stepping into the spotlight, and Gutfeld and Tyrus are sharpening their wit like chefs before a feast. Let's just say she's about to get roasted harder than a Thanksgiving turkey, with extra stuffing.
To mine, I was like, ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They call them Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game ball to Sunny.
If you've ever tuned into The View, chances are you've seen Sunny Hostin in action, poised, polished, and perched high atop her moral pedestal, ready to drop what she clearly believes is the gospel truth on everything from politics to pop culture. But don't let the confidence fool you. That so-called high ground? It's less Mount Everest and more like a teetering tower of playing cards, one strong breeze away from total collapse. And guess who just showed up with a fan set to maximum drama? That's right, Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus are stepping in, and they're not pulling punches. It's time to test just how sturdy that self-righteous soapbox really is.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Yeah. Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do.
Let's kick things off with Greg Gutfeld, shall we? A man so fluent in sarcasm he could teach a master class and probably roast the professor while he's at it. Think of him as part late-night comedian, part cultural sniper, always ready, with a smirk and a punchline that cuts a little too close to home. So when it comes to Sunny Hostin and her marathon sessions of moral lecturing, you already know Greg isn't letting that slide. Not a chance. He's breaking out the magnifying glass. And under that spotlight, the hypocrisy is lighting up like a Vegas strip sign. His first target? Sonny's favorite role, playing America's moral compass, even when the needle seems wildly off course. There she is, front and center on The View, finger wagging like it's her full-time job, dishing out moral lectures with the energy of someone who just discovered the word hypocrisy and now thinks she invented it. Watching Sonny Hostin call out everyone else's missteps is like watching a kid try to correct your grammar after misspelling every word in the sentence. It's entertaining, sure, but also a little hard to take seriously, and that's where Greg Gutfeld comes in. He's not just here for the commentary, he's on a mission. Picture him as a sharp-tongued detective with a magnifying glass in one hand and a stack of receipts in the other. When Sonny gets riled up over misinformation, Greg's the guy calmly flipping through her greatest hits, those quotes and contradictions she hopes everyone forgot. Spoiler, Greg didn't forget. He keeps the receipts. All of them. See, Sonny's outrage tends to come with an asterisk. She's furious about false narratives, unless they help her side. Then, suddenly, it's all about just speaking truth and sharing facts. Convenient, right? But Gutfeld doesn't let that slide. He doesn't just call it out. He makes you feel the absurdity, carving through her contradictions with the kind of razor-sharp sarcasm that lingers long after the laugh. Take her dramatic stance on so-called political elitism. Sonny rails against wealthy politicians living in luxury while Americans scrape by, delivering fiery speeches about accountability with all the intensity of a teacher scolding a misbehaving class. And yet, the irony is thicker than the headlines. She critiques. Gutfeld doesn't need to yell. His calm, biting commentary says it all. And every jab lands with precision.
Show or man that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racists on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah,
Emily. But wait, here's where things really start to get interesting. Sonny Hostin, for all her talk about inequality and social justice, just so happens to be a card-carrying member of the very elite she's always warning us about. She's a millionaire TV personality with a primetime platform, sipping lattes in a designer chair while telling the rest of us how to live humbly and ethically. The irony? Practically gift-wrapped. Greg Gutfeld, never one to miss a golden opportunity, is going to pounce on that. He's not shy about pointing out the absurdity of being lectured about wealth disparity by someone who's doing it from the comfort of a luxury studio, wrapped in the glow of soft lighting and privilege. Sure, Greg might be in a plush chair too, but at least he's honest about it. He's not pretending to be of the people while looking down from a sky-high moral perch. But Greg's not stopping at the surface. No, that's not his style. He peels back contradictions like layers of an onion, and Sonny's got plenty to work with. Remember her stance on cancel culture? Oh, she was passionately against it. Until she wasn't. One minute, she's decrying cancel culture like it's the end of free speech. The next, she's front and center, calling for the silencing of voices she doesn't agree with. It's the classic move, rally against the system, until it benefits you. Then suddenly, you're not just playing the game, you're refereeing it. Gutfeld's going to highlight that switcheroo with surgical precision. Because if cancel culture is bad, it's bad across the board, not just when it targets your favorites.
Of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny, she is so wrapped up in identity and she had no idea who she...
But here's the thing, you can't just pick and choose when to wield outrage like a weapon. That's not how credibility works. And Greg Gutfeld? He's already got this hypocrisy mapped out like a blueprint. You can practically see the smirk forming as he watches the contradictions pile up. Oh, he's enjoying this. And why shouldn't he? This is his arena. When it comes to calling out the theatrical double standards on The View, Greg's not showing. Up to play nice. He's coming in sharp, sarcastic, and locked in. You can almost hear him now. Funny, I must have missed the segment on we cancel people for thinking differently. But hey, here we are. His tone? dry as desert sand. His aim? Unflinching. He's not just pointing fingers, he's flipping the whole script, but Greg's just the opening act. Because once the sarcasm sets the stage, it's time to roll out the heavy artillery. Enter Tyrus. If Gutfeld is the razor-edged jester, Tyrus is the blunt force truth bomb. No sugarcoating, no dancing around the issue. When Tyrus speaks, it lands like a sledgehammer, and you don't just hear him, you feel the full weight of every each-haw. Word. And when he turns his attention to Sunny, it's game on. He zeroes in on the glaring contradiction at the heart of her persona. A self-declared champion of the voiceless who also happens to be, well, rich, famous, and firmly embedded in the elite class she so passionately critiques. You know the drill: designer outfits, high-profile gigs, mainstream media spotlight, all while calling out inequality from a marble pedestal. And Tyrus? He's not buying the act. Not for a second.
Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the view's gravitational pull.
Here's the thing. Tyrus sees right through it. The speeches, the outrage, the endless virtue signaling. It's not activism, it's performance. Picture this. Someone at a black tie charity gala, dressed to the nines, sipping vintage champagne while lamenting the struggles of the everyday person. That's the vibe. And Tyrus? He's not here for the optics. He cuts through the gloss and glitter to expose what's real. Sunny's woke persona? To Tyrus, it's just that, a carefully curated act. It's easy to champion the underdog, when you're doing it from the comfort of a high-rise with your name in lights. Tyrus doesn't care how polished your brand is. If the message doesn't match the lifestyle, he's calling it out. And when he does, it hits hard. He's the kind of guy who'd look Sunny straight in the eye and say, "You want to talk about inequality? Let's start with the fact that you're preaching rebellion from a throne." That's classic Tyrus. No fluff, no filter. His honesty isn't just brutal, it's surgical. He forces you to question everything you've been spoon-fed by the so-called champions of justice. And now, things are about to escalate. Gutfeld's sarcasm is already on full blast, and Tyrus is loading up with cold, unfiltered truth. When these two lock in, it's like a 1-2 punch of biting wit and hard hitting. Realism. They've built the case, poked holes in the facade, and now they're stepping in together, ready to drop the hammer.
That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
Gutfeld is in his element, doing what he does best, grabbing every contradiction and inflating it like a balloon until it bursts in plain view. Sunny Hostin, the self-appointed guardian of truth, moral compass of the nation. Unless, of course, the truth threatens her narrative. Then suddenly, it's less speaking truth to power and more editing the script in real time. Greg spots it, highlights it, and magnifies it with his trademark smirk and sarcasm that hits just a little too hard to ignore. And then there's Tyrus, the sledgehammer to Greg's scalpel. While Gutfeld dissects with wit, Tyrus lands the gut punch. Sunny, you don't get to ride in on a high horse when you built your stable out of contradictions. He's the voice that doesn't play by polite cable news rules, and he's not here to make anyone comfortable, especially not someone preaching equality from behind the insulated walls of a multi-million-dollar platform. If Sunny's image is for the people, Tyrus is the guy pulling back the curtain and asking the obvious. How does someone so deep in elite media circles get to pose as the voice of the voiceless? Her woke persona? About as see-through as the plexiglass panel she sits behind on The View. It's a perfect storm. Sarcasm meets blunt force honesty. Gutfeld and Tyrus aren't just challenging her arguments. They're dismantling the entire stage she's built for herself. And when the dust settles, what's left? Not a crusader for justice, but a figure tangled in the very culture she claims to fight. The canceller who forgot to check her own resume. The moralist whose high ground was really just a shaky hill of selective outrage and contradictions.
I think
think that women, white women in particular, want to protect this patriarchy here because it's to their benefit. They want to make sure that their husbands do well. They want to make sure that their sons do well. They want to make sure that their children do well. And they want to make sure that they do well. Most of the women in some of these studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Like you said, it's obvious.
And there you have it. Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus, two sides of the same sarcastic truth bomb dropping coin, completely dismantling Sunny Hostin's meticulously crafted woke persona. It's like watching an epic comedy duo in action, only instead of punchlines, you've got a tag team of pure, unapologetic mockery. The best part? There's no escape from the heat. It's like a sitcom, but instead of canned laughter, all you hear is the sound of hypocrisy crumbling under pressure. Gutfeld and Tyrus. They're on a mission, and they're not holding back. First up, you've got Greg Gutfeld, the master of sarcastic jabs and razor-sharp wit. He's like that guy at a party who's always a step ahead, casually dropping truth bombs with such finesse that you're left wondering why you didn't see it coming. When Sunny opens her mouth about fighting for the people, Greg's right there, ready to throw a curveball that's more like a roast than a rebuttal. His take on her moralizing? Picture this: a perfectly charred lobster. Every time she talks about standing up for the common man, Gutfeld's quick to remind her that her version of the people probably includes a glass of champagne in one hand and a corporate sponsor in the other. It's the kind of hypocrisy that Gutfeld turns into comedy gold, and the perfect setup for Tyrus to step in with his sledgehammer approach. Together, they're like the dynamic duo of deconstructing woke culture. Gutfeld's sarcastic precision paired with Tyrus's no-holds-barred truth. Trust me, you won't want to miss the ride.
Sunny Hostin, who I think is truly the nastiest woman on television and a genuine racist and not that bright, despite her law degree and everything else. She found out a little bit, you know these TV shows where they tell you a little bit about your family history and your ancestry? She found out some stuff about her ancestors that, well, take a look.
Wow, I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So
And then there's Tyrus, the no-nonsense truth dealer. When it comes to Sunny, subtlety isn't his style. He's like a wrecking ball crashing through a house of lies. Tyrus doesn't bother dancing around the issue. He's the guy who walks in, takes one look, and says, "Yeah, no, that's not how this works." He's got this uncanny ability to take Sunny's high horse act and turn it into something even bigger. Oh, she's not just perched up there, she's riding that thing straight into a corporate-sponsored sunset. Ouch. While Gutfeld lays the groundwork with his biting snark and perfect timing, Tyrus is the one who drives the point home. He's the hammer to Gutfeld's carefully crafted nails, ensuring every jab hits with maximum force. Their takedown of Sunny isn't just an expose, it's a work of art in mockery. Gutfeld's got his signature line ready. Sunny Hostin, the only person who can cancel you for not agreeing with her, all while using her platform to sell you everything she claims to stand against. And just like that, he's nailed her hypocrisy to the wall. But Tyrus isn't done yet. He's got a reality check coming. Sunny's the kind of woke warrior who'd cancel you for breathing the wrong way. Unless, of course, you're a fellow millionaire she can sip cocktails with. And with that, you're left wondering how anyone ever bought into her act in the first place. It's a stark, unapologetic moment of clarity that leaves her entire platform in ruins.
Could you imagine yourself on The View as like taking that job? Let's say they find something really ugly in your past, you get fired from Fox. That could happen, by the way. I never burned those photos. But I mean, could you do that?
I get very sensitive. This is my total honest answer. Like I get very sensitive to things. So I don't thrive in the like really nasty environment. I mean, I don't know who would.
But I think could cry into a big pile of money.
Together, Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus form the ultimate dynamic duo, blending Gutfeld's razor-sharp snark with Tyrus's brutal, no-holds-barred truth bombs. Their combined force is like a 1-2 punch that leaves Sunny Hostin looking like a deer, caught in the headlights of her own hypocrisy. The best part? They make it all look effortless, like it's second nature. Every time they tag team, it's an expose of contradictions so powerful that you can almost hear the truth crackling in the air. Their masterstroke? Calling out Sunny for posing as a champion of the common people, all while her cozy corporate media alliances make her as far removed from the working class as you can get without needing a private jet. It's like watching someone strut around in a Save the Environment t-shirt while they're standing in the middle of a landfill of contradictions. Impossible to ignore and nearly impossible to respect. The punches come fast and hard, and it's a thing of beauty. Gutfeld takes the first swing. Sunny Hostin, where being woke means never having to face your own contradictions. And you can almost hear the mic drop after that line. But Tyrus? Oh, he's not backing down. He lands with a jab that leaves no room for argument. She's so woke, she'll cancel you for looking at her the wrong way. Unless, of course, you're in her millionaire circle, sipping cocktails in your ivory tower. And then, the final gut punch. Gutfeld's like, if you ever need advice on how to be a hypocrite with a side of arrogance, just call Sunny Hostin. The crowd laughs, but Tyrus is the one who gets the last word, delivering it like a sledgehammer. Keep living that woke life, Sunny. Just make sure you don't trip over your own contradictions. It's a moment so satisfying that you almost feel bad for Sunny. Except, of course, when you remember she's the one who spent years pretending she wasn't living in a glass house. Gutfeld and Tyrus have just set the bar for takedowns, and it's one that's not likely to be topped anytime soon.